I woke up in my own body that morning. But by noon, I was screaming inside someone else's skin, trapped, voiceless, watching the man who'd stolen my life parade around in my flesh like he owned it. The betrayal hit harder than the swap itself. My mentor, my supposed ally, the VP who'd promised to rocket me to the top, had dosed me with that black market neural scrambler during our celebratory pitch meeting, flipping our consciousnesses in a blink to claim my breakthrough as his own. And the worst part? I'd taken the fall for his embezzlement scheme years ago, shielding him from the feds because I believed in the dream we built together until he decided I was expendable. What I did next wasn't revenge, it was resurrection. I clawed my way through his pathetic host body, a washed-up intern named Kyle, all acne scars and trembling hands, hijacking his access codes, his forgotten passwords, whispering manipulations into the ears of the board like a ghost in the machine. They called it a glitch, a hack, but I was the virus. And by the time the investor's private jet touched down, I'd rigged the humiliation so perfectly that the VP, still grinning in my stolen skin, would beg for the swap back, only to learn the truth I'd buried deeper than his sins. The fog clung to the Golden Gate like a bad hangover, rolling in thick over San Francisco as I steered my beat-up Prius through the Embarcadero traffic. It was one of those crisp October mornings in 2025 where the tech bros and their Tesla herds pretended the world wasn't crumbling under AI overreach and crypto crashes. I was Peyton Hale, 32, the wunderkind coder who just cracked the code literally on a neural interface that could rewrite human cognition without a scalpel. Not some sci-fi wet dream, but real. Syncing brains to machines so seamless you'd forget where flesh ended and silicon began. My startup, Neuroforge, was on the cusp of $1 billion valuation, and tonight's investor pitch was the ticket out of ramen noodle purgatory. Victor Slade, my VP of operations and the silver-tongued shark who'd lured me from MIT's labs to this Bay Area circus, was riding shotgun, scrolling through his tablet with that predatory smirk. Peyton,
Kid.
this is it. Harlan Voss, that's the investor's name. Harlan Voss, the ghost who bankrolled half of Silicon Valley's unicorns, wants in. But remember, we sell the sizzle,
Not the steak.
your tech's gold. But it's my story that seals the deal. Victor was 50-something. All bespoke suits and Botox-smooth lies. The kind of exec who quoted Sun Tzu in board meetings while screwing over the janitors. I'd idolized him once. Fresh out of grad school, drowning in student debt, he'd spotted my thesis on adaptive neural nets and offered me a lifeline, equity, mentorship, the whole American dream package. In return, I'd poured my soul into Neuroforge, coding through nights while he glad-handed VCs. What I didn't know then, what no one did, was that Victor's empire was built on quicksand. 5 years back, during our seed round, he'd skimmed off the top, funneling investor cash into offshore accounts to fund his mistress's Hamptons flip. The books didn't balance, and the feds came sniffing. I caught wind of it late one night, buried in server logs that screamed embezzlement. He begged me to cover it up, falsify the audits, blame a phantom hacker. Your family, Peyton, he'd said, clapping my shoulder like we were blood. Do this, and you're golden. Naive fool that I was. I did it. Erased the trails, ate the guilt. Watched him pocket the bonuses while I scraped by on stock options that vested slower than a glacier. Loyalty. They call it in boardrooms. Sucker. The streets whisper. We pulled into the parking garage under Voss Tower, a monolith of glass and greed piercing the skyline. The elevator hummed us up to the penthouse demo suite, where holographic projectors waited to birth my neural maps in shimmering blue light. Victor popped a flask, single malt, naturally, and poured a shots. To the future, he toasted, eyes gleaming. I clinked, the burn chasing away the knot in my gut. Something felt off. Had for weeks, his sidelong glances during code reviews. The way he'd grill me on the Scrambler's failsafes like he was memorizing escape routes. The device itself was the crown jewel, a palm-sized rig using quantum entanglement to temporarily swap synaptic patterns between two synced users. Experimental, black market sourced from a shady DARPA dropout. But it worked. In trials, we'd flipped consciousnesses for minutes, letting surgeons ghost into patients or execs test drive empathy sims. Victor called it the ultimate merger tool. I called it dangerous as hell. The demo kicked off flawless. Harlan Voss arrived fashionably late, a wiry septuagenarian in a cashmere blazer, flanked by his entourage of quant jocks and NDAs on legs. He didn't smile much. Rumor had it he'd lost his fortune once in the '08 crash and rebuilt it twice over by betting against the herd. "Show me the magic, mister." "Hail," he rasped, settling into the leather throne at the room's heart. I synced the scrambler to my temple node, Victor to his. A quick pulse, and the holos lit up, my mind's eye projected as a fractal storm, Victor's as a coiled serpent. "Watch," I said, voice steady. In 3, 2, the world inverted. Not pain. Exactly, more like drowning in static, every neuron firing backward. I gasped, clutching the table. But when my vision cleared, I was staring at
Me.
my own face, pale and wide-eyed, mouthing words I hadn't scripted. Victor in my body straightened, flashing that megawatt grin. "Ladies and gents, that's the swap. Seamless, reversible, and ready to disrupt everything from therapy to corporate espionage." The room erupted in murmurs, Voss leaning forward.
Hot?
But as Victor hammed it up in my skin, gesturing with my hands, quoting my white paper like he'd authored it, I felt the first wrongness. The scrambler was tuned for 5 minutes max. We were pushing 10. Sweat beaded on my borrowed brow, no. On Victor's host?
Wait.
The sync hadn't flipped us. It had locked. I tried to shout, but his voice, came out a croak. Panic clawed up my throat as realization dawned. He'd tampered with it. The failsafe code I'd written? Erased. The reversal pulse?
Dead.
Victor, puppeteering my body like a cheap suit, wrapped the pitch with flair. Questions? Voss fired one about scalability. Victor fielded it with my jargon. Seamless. By the handshake. The deal was in motion, term sheets floating, Voss's lawyers already dialing. And me, trapped in Victor's aging shell, legs wobbling like a newborn foal. I staggered to the corner, pretending to fetch water. In the reflection of the smart glass window, I saw him, crow's feet I'd never earned, a paunch straining the Armani shirt. His hands, trembled as I pulled out my phone. Text to my own number, what the fuck?
Vic.
Swap back now. No reply. A call, straight to voicemail. My own voice drawling. Peyton's catching the red eye to Seattle, prototype tweak. Talk soon, he'd planned it. The humiliation was just the opener. By morning, Victor in my skin, would be the face of Neuroforge's triumph, while the real me rotted in his discarded life, a sublet in the mission. A beat-up Civic. Deaths I'd never known about. The betrayal sank in like bay fog, cold, choking. I'd covered his ass once, saved his career, his freedom. And this? Stealing my body, my voice, my future? For what? To dodge his own scandals?
No. Deeper.
As I fumbled through his contacts, Slade Legal, retainer for fraud defense, the pieces clicked. The embezzlement hadn't stopped. It had escalated. Neuroforge's coffers were bleeding, and Voss's investment was the lifeline. But audits loomed, and Victor needed a clean slate. My face. My rep.
To sell the lie.
I couldn't let it stand. Rage boiled. Hot and American, the kind that birthed revolutions, not petitions. In Victor's wallet, I found a key card to the sublevel labs, where the scrambler prototypes slept in cryovaults.
Cull.
The intern whose body eyed. No.
Wait.
The swap hadn't been with Victor. In the chaos, I'd synced wrong? No, the device entangled closest minds. Victor had dosed the flask with a nanotrace, priming his own neurons, but the room's interference.
Fuck.
I was in Kyle's body. The pimply kid who'd been shadowing us. Wide-eyed in the back. Victor had meant to swap with me, but his glitch, had ricocheted. He was in mine, and I was in Kyle's scrawny frame, watching from the shadows as Peyton schmoozed Voss. Kyle's phone buzzed. Eviction notice. Overdue rent. Campus loans. The kid was cannon fodder. Invisible. Perfect for Victor's endgame. Frame the intern for the tampering. Pin the swap malfunction on sabotage. I'd vanish into obscurity. Discredited. While he ascended. But obscurity breeds ghosts. I slipped out, heart hammering in this unfamiliar chest, and hot-wired Kyle's bike from the garage. The wind whipped tears from eyes that weren't mine as I raced toward the only leverage I had left, Victor's hidden server farm in Oakland. The one holding the real books. If I couldn't swap back yet, I'd burn his world first. Controversial? Hell yes, hacking your own company. Impersonating the boss. But in America, justice is DIY when the system's rigged. The server bunker was a concrete tomb under a derelict warehouse, guarded by biometric locks that Kyle's retinas, thank God for lazy interns, breezed through. Inside, the hum of racks greeted me like an old friend. I jacked in, fingers flying over keys that felt too small, too soft. Victor's partitions cracked open, ledgers spilling red ink, emails to Shell Core, even a dossier on me, Peyton Hale, ambitious, loyal. Weakness, idealism. Neutralize if necessary. Neutralize. The word echoed as I siphoned the data to a burner drive. But deeper. A folder labeled contingencies, blueprints for the scrambler, not mine, stolen from a rival lab, laced with a kill switch virus. He'd been playing God longer than I knew, testing on homeless vets in exchange for hush money. The betrayal deepened, roots twisting into something primal. This wasn't just theft, it was erasure. By dawn, I was back in the city, Kyle's hoodie stinking of sweat and desperation. Neuroforge HQ buzzed with pre-announcement frenzy, press releases drafted, champagne chilling. I badged in as Kyle, head down, but not before overhearing the execs. Peyton's killing it. Voss wired the first tranche already. My blood, his blood, sang with fury. In the bathroom mirror, Kyle's face stared back, doughy cheeks, braces scars, eyes hollow with the weight of my rage. I practiced Victor's baritone. low and commanding.
Time to stir the pot.
The all-hands meeting was in the atrium, sunlight spearing through atriums like judgment. Victor Mies strode the stage. Charisma dialed to 11. Team. We've done it. Voss is aboard. Neuroforge is the future. Cheers erupted. I slipped to the AV booth, overriding the feed with a ghost script. As he cued the victory holos, my virus kicked in, not the books, but the contingencies. Projections flickered, not neural fractals, but grainy vids, Victor's real face, haggling with black market docs over volunteer swaps on Skid Row. Gasps rippled. He faltered,
My stolen mouth gaping.
Glitch, technical. I hit the mic from the booth. Victor's voice booming from hidden speakers. No glitch.
Folks.
Just the truth I've buried. The room froze. Voss. Front row. Arched a brow.
Victor Spoon.
Hunting the source. Our eyes, my eyes in his head, met, and for a split second, I saw the crack. Fear. Raw and real. He knew. But he couldn't prove it without exposing the swap. Who the hell is that? He barked, pointing at Kyle's body cowering in the booth. Security swarmed, but I'd already ghosted the data to Voss's secure line, an anonymous tip from concerned employee. As they dragged Kyle out, sirens wailing toward the psych ward for delusional outburst, I whispered into the chaos, the seed of doubt. Victor's triumph curdled. Voss pulled him aside, murmuring about due diligence. The first crack in the facade. But revenge isn't a sprint, it's a siege. Holed up in Kyle's closet apartment, ramen steaming on a hot plate, I plotted. The scrambler had a window, 48 hours before neural drift locked permanent. I needed access. A way back. Victor's mistress. Elena, that contact in his phone. The Hamptons' queen, might be leverage. A quick deepfake call from his voice. And she was spilling. He's been distant. Baby. Says it's business, but I smell a setup. Distant. Because he was trapped in my lithe, unscarred frame, chafing at the youth he craved but couldn't wield. She sent pics, him, me, staring into mirrors, flexing unfamiliar muscles. A king in pauper's clothes. The controversial play, kidnap her. Force a three-way sync?
No.
Too messy. Too Hollywood. Instead, I went viral. From Kyle's dusty laptop, I seeded forums, Reddit's r/conspiracy, X's tech underbelly with leaks, Neuroforge Stark trials, Victor's embezzlement tied to human experiments. Hashtags trended, Mind Thief slayed. By evening, protesters clogged the lobby, Voss's team dialing back commitments. Victor called an emergency board call. My old office, now his war room. I hacked the Zoom, lurking as Ghost Cam. Peyton's gone rogue, he lied. Voice mine but pitch off. The intern's his puppet. We spin it, say it's competitor sabotage. The board bought it.
Barely.
But Voss? Silent. Watching. The old man smelled blood. Night fell, and I moved. Kyle spiked to the bridge. Wind howling vendettas. A contact from my pre-swap burner, Ravi, the DARPA dropout who'd sourced the scrambler. Peyton? Thought you were dark. What's the play? I explained, voice modulator on. He laughed. Bitter. Slade stiffed me too. Got a prototype in my garage, reversal coil. But it's volatile. One shot. Or you fry both brains. We met at a dive in the Tenderloin. Neon flickering over needle tracks. Ravi was a wreck, tattoos fading, eyes wild from too many late-night sims. He handed over the coil, a fist of wires and menace. Sink it during confrontation.
But kid?
This ain't ethical. You're playing Frankenstein. Ethics? Victor had fed them to the grinder. I pocketed it, nodding. Dawn broke as I infiltrated HQ via loading dock. Kyle's maintenance pass a golden ticket. The labs waited, prototypes humming in nitrogen mist. Victor was there, alone, tinkering with the original scrambler, desperate to reverse or perfect his theft. I stepped out, coil raised. Miss me?
Beak.
His head snapped, my head, eyes widening in recognition. Kyle? What the? Peyton, I growled, his timbre from Kyle's throat. You dosed the wrong flask. The swap back was brutal, pulses crossing, minds tearing free. Agony. Then clarity. I gasped in my skin, tall and sure, while Victor crumpled into Kyle's frame, wheezing.
You. How?
Ghosts rise. Asshole. I zip-tied him. Called Voss direct. Harlan. It's Peyton. Really me. Come see the show. Voss arrived like a storm. Entourage in tow. Victor babbled denials from Kyle's mouth. But the drive, embezzlement, trials, projected crystal. Voss's face hardened.
Not shock.
But calculation. Bold move.
Hale.
But proof. I synced the holos. Our neural signatures. Pre- and post-swap. Irrefutable. Victor lunged. Feral in the kid's body. But security pinned him. Voss extended a hand. Deals on, double the stake. But clean house first. Triumph tasted like ash. Victor dragged away, screaming my innocence, the board scattering like roaches. But as the cuffs clicked, he whispered, You think this ends? I made you. Peyton. And I'll unmake you. The cops hauled him to holding. Fraud and assault charges stacking. I watched from the window, bay glittering below. Revenge served, hot and final. Or so I thought. The fallout hit like a Category 5 through Neuroforge C-suite. By noon, the board had convened an emergency session, virtual. Of course, because who trusts a room after Neural Armageddon? I sat at the head. My chair. Flesh mine again. But the weight of Kyle's memories lingered like a bad trip, the kid's loneliness. His dreams of coding glory crushed under Victor's boot. I'd return his body post-swap. A quick pulse in the lab bathroom while Victor raved in custody. But the drift had left echoes, flashes of his crushes. His mom's cancer bills. Guilt gnawed. But survival trumped sentiment. America doesn't reward the soft. Voss dominated the feed, his pixelated scowl demanding transparency.
Hale.
Walk us through it. Every dirty detail. I did. Unsparing, the embezzlement I'd covered in 20. The Scrambler Black Ops. Victor's swap gambit to launder his sins through my rep. Gasps from the suits, Linda from finance. Pale as her spreadsheets, Marco. The token diversity hire. Muttering about ethics clauses. When I dropped the server drive's payload, wire transfers to Cayman trusts. Vet trial vids blurred for decency, but damning, I watched their loyalty evaporate. Victor's cult of personality? Shattered. Resignations on my desk by end of day. Voss decreed. Voice like grinding gears.
Hale estáis?
Cleans the slate. No vote. His wire had bought veto power. The call ended, and I exhaled, Alone in the glass area. Press alerts pinged. TechCrunch speculating, Neuroforge meltdown. Exablaze with Swapgate memes. My face on DR. Jekyll bodies. Controversial? Understatement. Feminists decried the male ego tech bro takeover. Ethicists howled about consent and cognition. I was villain and victim, trending for all the wrong reasons. But the high faded fast. Kyle cornered me in the lobby that afternoon. Body his but eyes haunted, my echoes. Or Victor's bleed, mister.
Hale.
I remember things. Code. I didn't write. Your code. He trembled. Acne flaring under fluorescence. Kid was sharp. The drift had gifted him fragments of my genius.
Pity twisted in me.
Look,
Cull.
it was survival. Victor, words failed. How do you apologize for hijacking a life? He cut me off.
Fierce.
I get it. But if you owe me,
Teach me.
for real. A nod. And he was my shadow again, not pawn, but protege. Small redemption in the wreckage. Evening brought Elena, Victor's ex-mistress, storming the lobby in Louboutins and fury. You bastard. He swore it was temporary, said you'd consent. She'd bought the lie. Hook and sinker. Bankrolled half his schemes on promises of Hampton sunsets. I met her in the cafe, nursing black coffee. Consent? He dosed me. Elena. Framed me for his fall. She deflated. Mascara streaking. Spilling more. Victor's paranoia. His late-night rants about upstarts like you stealing my thunder. Turns out, the embezzlement started pre-me. His first startup tanked on bad bets. And I'd been the patsy to rebuild. Deep betrayal layered on betrayal. I'd gambled my integrity for a fraud's fairy tale. We cut a deal. Her testimony for immunity. Plus a Neuroforge equity bump. She left lighter. But I felt heavier, collateral in my war. Nightcap at a dive overlooking the bay. Waves lapping like accusations. Ravi texted. Coil worked. But watch for rebounds. Synapses scar.
Scar.
Yeah. My reflection in the bar mirror showed it. Eyes harder. Jaw set. The man who'd cover Victor's ass was dead. This Peyton played dirty. Sleep evaded. Dreams splicing Kyle's fears with Victor's schemes. Dawn yanked me awake to a subpoena, Victor's lawyers. Smelling blood. Bail hearing at 10 a.m. Federal building in the Civic Center. I suited up, Voss's jet lawyers in tow, and drove through morning snarl. The courtroom reeked of stale justice, bailiffs in ill fits, judge with a gavel like a grudge. Victor shuffled in, Kyle's body dwarfed by orange jumpsuit, but his eyes bullish, unbroken, locked on mine. Peyton, he sneered from the kid's lips. You think this sticks? Voss'll drop you faster than a bad quarter. The arraignment blurred. Fraud counts. Human experimentation. Conspiracy. Elena testified crisp. Drive evidence projected. But Victor's play? Character assassination. His counsel painted me as the unstable genius. Prone to delusions per internal psych evals, fakes.
I bet.
But they sowed doubt. Bail denied. He spat as they led him. Enjoy my throne. Usurper. It crumbles. Post-hearing buzz. Voss called.
Hale.
Tighten the ship. Or I pull funding. Pressure cooker. Back at HQ. I purged, firing Victor's cronies, auditing every line. Marco pushed back. This witch hunt? It's McCarthyism 2.0. Controversial decision 1. I let him go too. Citing misalignment. Whispers spread. I was the tyrant now. Fair?
No.
Necessary? Survival. Afternoon brought the real gut punch. A whistleblower tip. Routing to my secure line. Check the vaults. Not Victor's.
Yours.
Heart slamming. I dove into the sublevel archives. Dust motes dancing in LED glow. Buried manifest. Pre-swap logs. My signature on the vet trials. Wait, no. Forged? Victor had anticipated my cover. Backdated consents with my neural print. Scrambler access meant he could mimic me digitally. The frame was mutual. I'd signed off on horrors. Or so the books lied. Panic surged. If Voss saw this, goodbye empire. I burned the physicals, overwrote the digitals, but echoes lingered in backups. Controversial decision 2. Bury my own sins. America loves a comeback, kid. But not a complicit one. Cal caught me shredding. Eyes wide. Mister. Hale? That's evidence, kid. Some truths sink ships. He nodded. Silent. But the trust cracked. Evening War Council with Voss's team. Strategy for the reveal. Public swap demo. Controlled. To reclaim narrative. Show vulnerability, his PR shark advised. Own the chaos. I prepped the script, but sleep brought nightmares. Victor in my skin. Voss unmasking me as the monster. Next morning, X exploded, leaked trial vids. Unblurred. Protests swelled outside HQ. Signs screaming mind rape tech. Police cordons. My face on every feed. Inside. Board fracturing. Linda tendered resignation. Citing moral azar. Voss's ultimatum loomed. Desperation bred boldness. I reached out to Victor's cell. Smuggled message via Elena's lawyer contact. Truce? Meet neutral. Swap secrets.
He bit.
Ego his Achilles. Neutral, an abandoned pier warehouse. Moonless night. I arrived solo. Coil in pocket. Ravi's warning echoing. Victor waited. Kyle's frame bulked by shadows. Flanked by a goon. Ex-merc. Tats screaming black ops. Peyton. Ballsy. Endgame.
Beak.
The frames, you did mine too. We burn M together.
Lie.
I wanted his real dirt. The Cayman keys. The kill switch source. He laughed.
Hollow.
You think I'm done? Voss isn't clean. He funded the Scrambler trials DARPA cut out. You're his pawn now. Twist one, Voss. The savior? Complicit? Victor tossed a drive.
Proof.
In return. Drop charges. I feigned consideration. Hand inching to coil. But the goon lunged, anticipated. Struggle erupted. Fists and grunts echoing off rusted beams. Victor scrambled for the exit, but I synced the coil mid-scuffle. Pulse firing wild. Agony again, minds brushing. Not swapping, but glimpsing, his secrets flooding mine. Not just embezzlement, Cayman codes. Yes, but Voss's emails. Greenlighting the horrors for national security. And deeper, Victor hadn't initiated the swap. Voss had. Whispering in Victor's ear. Testing loyalty. Betrayal inverted. I was the fly in their web. The goon cold-cocked me. World blacking. Woke to zip ties. Victor looming. Your move.
Hale.
But now I know what you know. He smashed the drive. But too late. I'd memorized the codes. Dawn Patrol found me.
Anonymous tip. Mine.
Pre-sync. Victor vanished. Kyle's body a ghost. Back at HQ. Voss summoned private jet to his Napa retreat. Peyton. Rumors swirl. Clarify. I did. Half-truths. Victor escaped. Frames debunked. But his eyes knowing. Good.
Now.
The demo. Make it shine. The reveal event was Black Tie Armageddon. Metrian auditorium packed with VCs. Press. Influencers. I took stage. Spotlights hot. Heart ice. Tonight. We own our story. Sync demo, volunteer pair.
Safe.
Reversible. Applause thundered. But as Holos bloomed, my override kicked not glory, but Voss's emails. Projected accidental.
Gasps.
He bolted up. Face thunder. Backstage confrontation. What is this? Hail. Truth.
Harlan.
You greenlit the dark. Controversial decision 3. Burn the benefactor. Security swarmed. Voss snarled. You'll regret this. Regret? Maybe. But as feds descended, my tip. Again, the empire I'd saved cracked open. Voss cuffed. Empire crumbling.
Me.
Sole survivor.
Neuroforge mine.
But Kyle's eyes haunted. Some truths. Mr. Hail. Yeah.
Kid. Some.
The feds turned Voss Tower into a circus tent, agents in windbreakers combing ledgers. Forensic text jacking servers like vampires at a vein. I cooperated fully. Of course. Statements crisp. Alibis ironclad. Victor Slade orchestrated the swap. Voss funded the underbelly. Partial truth. The kind that sticks in investigations. By week's end, indictments flew. Voss on RICO charges. Conspiracy to defraud via experimental tech. Victor? Ghosted. But Interpol pinged a sighting in Macau, Kyle's passport. My guess. The kid seethed. Identity theft layered on trauma. He stole my face. Mr.
Hale.
After you stole my mind. Fair hit. I bumped his equity. Therapy fund. But amends are IOUs in this game. Neuroforge teetered. Stock plummeting 40% on the Nasdaq. VCs bailed like rats from the Alameda. But I rallied. Emergency board install. Me as interim CEO. Press tour kicked off CNN green room. Sweating under Klieg's as Anderson probed. Mr. Hale. Critics say you knew about the trials. Complicity. I leaned in. American earnest. I was betrayed. Anderson. But I own my blind spots. Now, we're pivoting to ethical AI, transparency mandates, open source audits. Lies polished to shine. But they landed. Ratings spiked, Peyton Rising trended. Behind scenes, the grind was gothic. Sleepless nights in my old loft, views of Alcatraz mocking from the bay, poring over Voss's seized files. The old man hadn't just funded, he'd architected. Emails traced to a shadow pack. Cognitive Liberty Initiative, laundering DARPA slush for mind control sims. Victor? Middleman. Ambitious pawn. And me? The mark. My idealism, the perfect vector. Deeper dive. A redacted memo. Voss to handlers. Acquire Hale's IP via proxy. Neutralize if resistant. Swap wasn't betrayal. It was wet work. Corporate style. Rage simmered. You am as the fog. Controversial decision 4. Go rogue. No feds too slow.
Too leaky.
I tapped Ravi's network. Ex-DARPA rogues. Bidder and bought. Find Victor. Extract. Cost. $50K in crypto. Untraceable. They delivered coordinates. Belize safe house.
Beachfront Rot.
Private flight. Me in cargo pants and ghosts. Landing in humid dusk. The compound was cartel-lite. Guards dozing over AKs. Victor, still in Kyle's skin, pacing a veranda. Scotch in hand. Infiltration was sloppy poetry. Silenced trank to the sentry. Zip line to the roof. I dropped silent, coil holstered like a 6-gun. Through vents, his voice drifted. Voss down, but the initiative levs. Hales next, on phone. To shadows. He wasn't fleeing, plotting. I burst in. Suppressed pistol leveled, Ravi's gift.
No prince.
End of the line. Vic. He spun. Kyle's face twisted in shock. Then sneer. Peyton. Persistent fucker. No fight. He raised hands. Slow. What now? Kill me in this kid's body?
Poetic.
But sloppy. Feds trace you here. Empire crumbles. Talk. The initiative who pulls strings. He laughed. Bitter. Bigger than Voss. Think tanks. Senators. Mine text the new oil, control the synapses, control the vote. He spilled. Piecemeal. Names Senator Reyes. Tech lobby ghosts. Ops. Swaps on whistleblowers. CEOs. My trials? Beta test. And the twist. Victor hadn't framed me alone. I'd signed. Yes, under duress. A late-night loyalty oath, Voss enforced via veiled threats. But the real sin? I'd greenlit one trial myself. Desperate for seed cash. A homeless vet whose consent was a sandwich and a signature. Nausea hit. Why me? You were clean. The hero narrative. We needed your face for the pitch. He lunged then. Feral. Grabbing for the coil. Melee erupted. Furniture splintering. Grunts echoing over waves. I pinned him. Knee to throat. Swap back. Or end it. Eternal debt. Peyton. Do it. Eyes locked, his and Kyle's sockets. Pleading release. Controversial decision 5. Mercy kill? No. Extraction. Pulse fired. Minds brushing again. His secrets flooded. Initiative kill codes. Buried in a Swiss vault. But rebound hit. Victor's decay. Years of booze and stress.
Seeping into me.
Flashes his regrets. A daughter's funeral he missed for a deal. Human. After all. I left him cuffed for the locals' drug baron beef. Untraceable. Flew out dawn. Coil smoking. Back stateside. The vault raid. Hacker collective. Voss's frozen assets as pay. Codes secured. Initiative's digital heart in my grip. But home front roiled. Kyle sued, trauma claim.
Public.
Hale used me as a vessel. Media frenzy, op eds decrying tech feudalism. Board pressured. Settle. Or we oust. I did.
2000.
But resentment festered. Elena resurfaced, whispering Voss's escape plot, house arrest. But bribed guards. He's coming for you. Peyton. And the secrets you hold. Paranoia bloomed. Dark and tensile. Nights wired with caffeine. Loft to bunker. Cameras. Panic room. Ravi warned. Rebounds worsening? Synaptic scars. Hallucinations next. They came, Victor's voice in vents. Voss's shadow in mirrors. Was I cracking or hunted? Climax brewed at the annual Tech Summit, Moscow Center. Gala of glass and greed. I keynote. From shadows to light, ethical frontiers. Crowd wrapped, Zucka-likes, politicos. But midway, lights flicker, hack, stage holos warp, not my slides, but initiative docs, Reyes's memos. My forged signature unredacted.
Gasps.
Sabotage. I ad-lib. But Voss strides in. Free on technicality, mic in hand.
Python hale.
Ladies and gents, the man who played God. Projection shifts. Vid of me, signing the vet trial.
Face mine.
No duress visible. Lies.
But damning.
Crowd murmurs, security hesitates, Voss's donors everywhere. He closes. Neuroforge? House of Cards. Join the real future. Chaos. Shouts. Flashes. I grab the coil from podium safe, prepped for demo, and sync it live. Pulse to Voss's node, hacked earlier. Minds collide, not swap, but merge glimpse. His secrets, initiatives endgame, national swap net, election rigging. And the reversal, he hadn't hunted me. Victor had. From the grave, post-cuff. He triggered a dead man switch. Framing me ultimate. Voss reels. Exposed. Fed swarm, my planted tip. Cuffs again. But his whisper. You activated it.
Hale.
Now you're the head. The summit dissolved into pandemonium, guests fleeing like debutantes from a scandal, while I stood center stage, coil humming in my fist like a talisman. Voss dragged away, snarling epithets that echoed off the rafters. Hails the architect. Check the vaults. Lies. Mostly, but laced with my half-buried complicity. The press descended. A hyena pack, mister.
Hale.
Is this corporate theater or treason? I faced them. Sweat slick under the spots. Channeling every bootstrap speech I'd ever devoured. Transparency wins. The initiative ends tonight. Uploaded the kill codes live. Swiss vault purging. Digital Armageddon. Cheers mixed with booze. Heroes die young in America. Aftermath was autopsy, congressional hearings. Me in starched collars testifying before suits with flag pins. I uncovered the conspiracy. I swore. Hand on Bible app. Reyes grilled. Your signature. Mister. Hail on the trials. Forged. I countered. Neural mimicry evidence tendered. They bought it. Barely, Voss's flip sealed the deal. Trading testimony for leniency. Victor? Found adrift off Belize. Kyle's body bloated.
Suicide per coroner.
Or mercy. If you squint. Kyle inherited his equity slice. A bitter fortune. We didn't speak after.
Neuroforge Phoenix D. Rebranded Cognova.
Ethical neural nets for education. Therapy. Voss's blood money laundered into good. Valuation soared. Me on Forbes 30 under 40. Ghostwritten memoir in works. But glory's veneer cracked private. Rebounds worsened. Victor's voice in dreams. Voss's calculations haunting board sims.
Ravi diagnosed. Permanent écho.
You're a mosaic now, 3 minds in 1 skull. Therapy? Prozac and mantras. Elena became confidant. Her Hamptons exile traded for my guest room. We danced around attraction. Ghosts between sheets. Twist-crested 6 months post-summit. Napa harvest moon. Voss's appeal hearing loomed. But a courier arrived. Manila envelope. No return. Inside, photos me, Signing the trial. Timestamp pre-swap.
Real.
Memory flooded. Suppressed. Desperation night. Boss's incentive. Cash for mom's chemo. Or exposure. I'd caved. Pen trembling. Vet size dull over the table. Not forged, mine. Victor hadn't framed. I'd framed myself. Amnesia from the swap's trauma.
Horror hollowed me.
The betrayal? Self-inflicted. Roots in my own moral rot. I'd gambled souls for security. American as apple pie and indentured dreams. Controversial decision 6. Confess. Not public suicide note, but to Kyle. First. Coffee shop.
Fogsick.
Kid. I signed it. Your body. Paid for my lie. He stared. Coffee cooling. Knew it. But you fixed it.
Sorta.
Forgiveness?
No.
Understanding. Maybe. He walked. But lighter. Boss next. Supermax visit. Plexi between. Truth.
Harlan.
I knew. He smiled. Withered. Welcome to the club. Son. Powers the poison. His appeal tanked. Life sentence.
Initiative Unravelet reißendeidet.
Pax dissolved. I burned the photos.
But scars etched.
Ending? No tidy bow. Cognova thrived. Me CEO eternal. But hollow. Elena left for NYC. Needs space from the mosaic. Kyle launched a rival startup, ethical audits.
Poaching my talent.
Poetic justice.
Nights.
I walk the bridge.
Folksweile vinskriums.
Revenge won. But victory's Pyrrhic. The man I avenged was a fraud. The empire built on bones. Was it worth it? Ask the readers, hero or hypocrite. In America's funhouse.
Mirrors lie.
But one truth endures. Swap back all you'd like. The monster stares from within.